Hey Sunflower Bees, it's Erica, and I'd like to talk to you today about FERPA and some things that we all need to know about FERPA. What is FERPA? So, FERPA is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. It was established in 1974. It is a federal law, and you can find that in Title 20 of the United States Code, so that gives you where that is if you want to go look it up. What FERPA does is it does prevent schools from sharing student data without parental permission. So there are a few exceptions that can be made, and some of those exceptions would be, we've talked before, I know as a group, school officials. So anyone that would need to see those records would be able to see those records. We do share them with state educational agencies for different reasons. Sometimes we do share student information with different organizations conducting educational research or through different programs we use. When that happens, there is an agreement with the program that when that data is not being used anymore, it will be destroyed. There also needs to be a written agreement if there is a study for them to do student disclosures of who was in the study. So if they wanted to use a particular student, then they would have to have permission in writing to be able to use that specific information. Through FERPA, families may file a complaint and request a hearing if they feel their students' rights were violated. And when a complaint is made, it must be investigated. So different types of student data. There are student grades, there are the immunizations and the health records, disciplinary records, student progress reports, academic and physical testing reports, grade point averages, attendance records, all those things that we keep. So basically, think about the things that we would put into PowerSchool or things that the nurse has. All of those are student data and student records. I want to talk a little bit about video surveillance information. I think that's important because USD 480 does have cameras in all of their buildings. So when I was learning more about FERPA, that was a question for me. The community should be informed that they are being recorded, and as you know, all the doors say that there are recordings in process. That is something that the parents get informed of. It's in the handbooks. It is in school board policies. What court cases have found is video surveillance holds up in court in general areas. So it doesn't say that the student's privacy is violated. As long as they're in public spots. So like hallways, stairwells, classrooms, buses, parking lots. Those are places where courts are saying that video surveillance is admissible. Places like locker rooms and bathrooms, which hopefully there are no cameras. I know there's not any at USD 480 in those areas that I'm aware of. I actually am not sure about the locker rooms, but I know in our elementary schools there's not in the bathrooms. Those things would be a violation of student privacy, as that would be a violation of everyone's privacy. Audio recording, however, is not allowed without consent. Images on camera do follow FERPA because they are maintained and owned by the school district. So they need to follow the FERPA policies. And we cannot provide surveillance recordings without permission. So what that means is if a parent came in and said, my kid got into a fight, I want to watch that video. Unless both parents have given consent and say that the other parent can watch that video, they should not show that video because there's more than one kid, is how I understood it. Because showing more than one might be a violation of FERPA because they're both involved. Now, if I was in the background, it would not be a violation of my FERPA because that is not directly related to me. I hope that that makes sense. The exceptions, of course, for video surveillance would be if there is a health and safety concern, same as we think about with anything, then that would be shared. And also, if we do get a subpoena from any type of court, then that would also have to be shared. So here's some types of privacy abuses that you might not think about, because I know I didn't when I was thinking about it. So posting grades in the hall. I know in college that's something that happened. I can't remember if that did when I was in high school because that was just too long ago. But if we think about, posting grades, we took a big test, here's what everyone's grades are. That could be a violation of FERPA if it has the students' names. Papers that you put out in the hallway, if you've graded them, if it's a quiz and everyone did good and there's grades on them, that is a violation of FERPA. Non-consensual exposure of students and information or pictures on the internet. So we need to be careful. We know we have the list of students who cannot be posted in any of those things. We do get those consents and we do get those opt-outs. So just make sure you're thinking about that when things are being posted. And we need to think about compliant vendors. So anytime that we use free websites, maybe we find an app or a website we want our kids to use and we sign them up for that. If they use data that directly links them to them and they keep that data, we need to be careful of that, because if that is something they're collecting, they could be selling it to third-party people, and that is a violation of FERPA. So if you're unsure about things you're using, please get in touch with the tech department. They are able to help with that. Data destruction. Of course, we have a lot of electronic data, and a lot of our platforms are held through other companies. So when we're talking about deletion of data, let's just say for map testing, that is not something we have to worry about. That is kept someplace else. The school district and the company, that they have agreements for that. So things like that online, we don't need to really so much worry about. What you need to worry about more are spreadsheets and things like that you have created. So deleting them is not enough, and we need to use appropriate data deletion methods. These are also something that we can talk to our IT department about to make sure things like that are being properly deleted. Now, as far as hard copies go, you need to shred those. We do have a shredder in our conference room, which is in the office near our mailboxes. When in doubt, destroy everything. So if you print out map data, that can't go in the trash. That needs to be shredded. If you have a list of, let's say, all of our kids, we used to do iStation, now we're going to do iReady. We're getting ready for iReady. You have a list of their iReady reports. All of that information has to be shredded. Anything that you handwrite down as far as data I know for myself, I keep a list of my kids' map scores beginning, middle, end of the year. At the end of the year, I have to shred all that data. When in doubt, it is better to just shred. I also want to touch real quick on our school resource officers, because that is also something that USD 480 has in place. FERPA does not distinguish between SROs and the local police. So if an SRO is designated by a school as their law enforcement, then FERPA would apply. In USD 480, even though we have SROs that come in and they are school law enforcement, but they are an entity of the Liberal Police Department. So therefore, we have to follow our FERPA rules even when making sure that we're presenting things to law enforcement. Again, please ask. If you do not know, please ask. So what can you do? Again, keep in mind what technologies you use. Make sure if there's personal information being kept, that it's school approved and we know that it's being kept properly. You want to keep all your data secure. I know I talk to you a lot about SPED documents because I bring those to you and I make sure, you want them locked up. You don't want them left out. That should be the same for all your kids' data. Again, map testing data, any of those score reports, all those things you have, you don't want to leave those just laying on your desk or just up on your computer. You could be violating FERPA when you do that. Shred the documents you need to shred. Again, it doesn't hurt to shred everything if you need to shred everything. Maybe we could make that as a job for either someone in the school or someone in your class. Be aware what is posted outside your classroom. Again, think about those grades and things like that. And then the last important thing is If you receive a request from parents who have rights to request their student records, and it's not something like, oh, I need a new report card, or what did they get on their MAP test? If they want a bunch of records and you're not sure what you should give them, what you shouldn't give them, if it's a violation, please direct those requests to administration. I think that's the best method because we will make sure that rules are being followed and that everyone is getting what they should get and in a timely fashion. This last page just has the USD 480 policies for reference. So all these policies on here, these are the letters you would find them and what they are called. I also included the link. I will send out the slideshow so that you can just click on to right where you need to go, so we don't have to go through and look for them in case you're new and you don't know. And these are references I used. Again, just different things you could look at that would be helpful and you seeing what I learned. So thank you for listening, and I hope this is helpful. And as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day, sunflower bees.